Oh. Welcome to Tanked Up, the podcast all about video games and craft beer. I'm Ben. I'm here with Aadil.
No, I thought we were doing beer and games.
What did I say?
Video games and craft beer. I'm giving you a hard time. It's fine.
Just throw
I'm
all
here.
the words in.
And it is, for the first time in a long time, it's a Will Smith-isode.
Yes. Yeah. Lucy and I have done a few duets. But yeah, it's not been you and I for a while, has it?
No, because usually when someone's away, it's me.
That's very true. You're a busy man. You're a busy man. I don't think we've got a huge amount of games we've played this week to talk about. I've got one. But we do have a topic. Quite a large discussion that we can have around a recent, very sad event that we'll be discussing. But let's open up a beer first. Aadil, what are you drinking?
This week I have this one. From Manual Brewing.
Okay.
Which I wasn't familiar with. They're from
I'm
Scotland,
not.
Dundee.
Okay.
And it is their My Favorite Hero, Salted Strawberry Gose.
Ooh, okay.
Got lovely art. Hopped with Magnum, Raku, and Huel Melon. What's a Huel Melon? I've never heard of it. Sorry.
I don't know, what was the second hop as well?
Rakau.
Rakau, okay.
Hopped with Magnum, Rakau, and Huel Melon. Soured with Lactobacillus. Fermented with English ale yeast. Additions of strawberry and pink Himalayan sea salt.
Oh.
Tasting notes are strawberry, honeydew, melon, citrus, salt, and sour.
Salt. That's an interesting one.
Yeah, that's why I grabbed it. I was like, a Gose. I'm like, wait, salted strawberry Gose? Well, this, I don't know what this is. I must have it. And it's 4.5% in a lovely 440 milliliter can.
Lovely. Cool. I am going to start off with a beer called, well, it's a beer called Freak Scene, but it's also a restaurant in London. It's a New England IPA with yuzu. It's 4.5%. And this one comes from, it's from Beer52, but they're calling their project, they've got a new project going called Table, which is those guys at Beer52 brewing some beers in relation to some restaurants. I was a bit skeptical about this, but it's not beers to pair with food. It's kind of beer to complement the style of each of these kind of restaurants and around the theme, rather than beer to go with food. There is a little bit of flavour text. New England IPA with yuzu is a deliciously fruity pale ale with a soft and delicate mouthfeel that abounds with citrus and tropical flavours, tempered with a little tannin from the tea and pleasant perfumey aromatics. So there we go. I don't get any info on what's in there. Hop-wise, it just says water, malted barley, malted wheats, oats, yuzu, hops, yeast. So we shall see. Two nice light beers to start with.
Yeah. So first off, there is sediment. I think it might be strawberry seeds.
Oh, really?
Let's see. Oh, you can't. It's
Can't
just
quite see it.
Yeah. It's also, because I did the standard pour and then struck out the dregs, it's also peppered the head.
Yeah.
It's sort of a lovely orangey, slightly red color, pretty opaque. The smell is that melon, touch of strawberry, but mostly the melon. I say the smell because I'm uncouth and don't know the term nose, apparently.
Just smell it.
Hey, it smells good, doesn't it? Oh. Wow. That's interesting.
Okay.
You definitely get the strawberry solidly throughout the taste. The salt comes in right after the beginning. And that's why I said, I was trying to continue tasting, because I was like, this is salty. This is a salty beer. Well, what's nice is the salt doesn't stay.
Okay. What's it doing? Is it doing anything? Is it just providing kind of
I think it's doing the standard thing.
Hit through the beer to kind of break up the flavor, or
I think it's opening up the
complementing?
flavor a little bit. It's hard to tell without having the unsalted version. Definitely have a bit of that melon. The strawberry's not in your face; it's just sort of like the base, and then it ends, a little sour. But for a gose, it's not super sour. That's quite a
Okay.
liquidy mouthfeel. Very wet beer. Yeah, I think the salt is just bringing out that melon in a way that like it tastes like melon, but not sweet, which is normally how melons travel.
Yeah.
Slightly, like I said, slightly tart aftertaste. Sort of neutral mouthfeel, or like I'm not dried, not wet, not in the finish rather, not mouthfeel. Good Lord, Aadil. It's been one of those days. Yeah, it's interesting. It's like everything's sort of moving together to everything's sort of blended well together, and it's not like it's super sour,
Yeah.
not super salty, and like I said, the strawberries there, but not like in your face, and the melons it sort of pops in and out, but again, sort of I was expecting kind of more of a fruity hit and maybe like a sour finish, and it's actually quite a, for lack of a better word, stable
Yeah.
taste. Yeah, it's good
Okay.
though.
Nice.
It's
Nice.
just, and it still tastes like beer. Admittedly, a sour beer, but like one of the worries I had was that it would be one of those juice bomby things. Oh, I just got on that sip. I got like a peak hit of tart.
Okay.
I think this will be interesting to have the whole thing.
Yeah.
The first sip I had that salt, but I think I've already like acclimatized to it.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like when you have the first couple really salted chips, you're like, oh, and then by the end you're like, nah.
Yeah. Yeah. Just not bothered by it at all. Or the first pepper that you bite into, as gives you that little heat, that hit, and then the more you have, it just
Yeah,
tapers out, doesn't it? So nice. Okay.
it's a good showing though for brewery. I was like, man, I don't know, never heard of Manual.
Did they have many others in the box shop?
They had the other one I'm having,
Okay.
and I think one more at Corks. Yeah, I suspect they've just started bringing them in though, because I haven't
Yeah.
seen them before.
Nice to see someone from sort of that far away as well. Down here.
Yeah, that's not like proper international. Because there's this weird gap where you get like the biggest hits from other countries,
Yeah.
but even the biggest hits from Scotland you don't often get.
And I suppose it's a lot to do with like production, how much they're able to produce, and kind of how much they want to ship out to different places. And whether it's kind of a new, I don't know whether they're a new brewery, whether they're a little bit more established kind of locally up in Scotland or not, but maybe this is part of an expansion, or it could be they're completely new and they just thought, fuck it, let's just get as many beer, get it out as much as possible to as wide a spread as possible to kind of get it in as many hands around the country rather than kind of concentrating on local distribution. But I don't know. I'm just hypothesizing massively about what these people are doing with their beer.
The company.
Yeah.
How's yours?
It's nice. It's very nice. It's very kind of light in colour. Little orangey. Not too orangey, but it's pretty opaque. The head has already kind of disappeared. There wasn't much there to begin with. The nose, you're getting those tropical fruit flavours. A lot of grapefruit on there. And then in the flavour, it is almost exactly as they've described it on the bottle. It doesn't deviate from that very much at all. You're getting a bit of grapefruit, kind of there's maybe another kind of tropical fruit in there as well. Maybe, I don't know, too hard to kind of pick out with everything else kind of going on. A little more citrus that kind of kicks in, but those sort of like the tea definitely brings that fruitiness down a little bit, makes it a little bit more kind of palatable than a big sort of juice bomber kind of hit. It just kind of pulls it back, and then it kicks into this very kind of aromatic finish. I can't remember whether it was last week when I had the beer where it was very, very floral, very, very aromatic. This kicks in with that kind of floral, almost perfumey kind of vibe, but kind of right at the end, and it's a little short as well on the end. So whilst it kind of gives you a nice rounding out flavour, that doesn't overstay its welcome, and actually the fruit kind of follows through quite nicely the entire way through the beer, whilst these other things are kind of kicking in and going on to give a very interesting kind of flavour, something that is quite well balanced. It seems like it's quite well crafted to hit those kind of points as you're drinking it. I had another one from this box a couple of days ago, which was, from memory, was fine, but it wasn't really remarkable in any way. It was just a nice kind of pleasant beer. This is doing something a little bit more. It seems a little bit more complex than the previous one I'd had, and it just seems maybe hopefully it's not the pick of the bunch from the box, to be able to have on air, because I want more excellent beers. But I think I've done quite well with a pick from the box to drink this evening.
So for mine, before we move away, I am noticing after while you were talking, I didn't really take many sips, and I have noticed that the fruit, it does linger, especially that like honeydew melony sort of taste. It's sort of still there in the background. Like even just moving my tongue around, I'm getting that taste of the melon and a little bit of the strawberry, which is interesting because like maybe it is a little drying out of my mouth. I can't. Or it's just because I've been moving my tongue around a lot. But yeah, it's interesting because like all of the standard beer notes have disappeared a while back, but these fruit have stayed, which is usually you still have that bitterness or some like the beer is the thing that carries the taste. And now actually finding the fruit is lingering.
Okay. Interesting. It's quite a big, what size beer was it? 440, 500?
440.
Okay. So you've got a nice amount to be able to
sup.
Yeah, to sup and to understand how that changes up. Nice.
Yeah, the salt is there definitely in the beginning.
Yeah. Good. Let's move on then to the only game that I have played apart from finishing off Obra Dinn and playing a little bit more of Red Dead Redemption 2. I managed to start playing Alpha Bear 2, which I didn't know had come out.
Are you saying you managed to play Alpha Bear as well?
No, Alpha Bear 2
as well.
A sequel to Alpha Bear. I don't remember whether I spoke about Alpha Bear a huge amount a couple of years ago. It's a mobile game where essentially it's the aesthetic is bears, but the game itself is finding words. You have a tiled grid, and so many letters will be exposed. And basically, you tap each of those letters to form a word, and you get points based on the word that you formed. Once you've eliminated those letters, those tiles, the tiles either to the side or the top will then appear to bring up more letters for you to be able to use. And essentially, you just got to clear the board, getting as high a score as possible using all of the letters.
Do they have to be touching?
No, they don't have to be touching.
It's not like Bookworm or something like that.
No, they can be anywhere on this. That you've uncovered them. They can be anywhere on this grid.
Okay.
And that is the sort of the general gist of playing the game. I really enjoyed the first one. It's very tongue-in-cheek, doesn't take itself seriously at all. As I say, the aesthetic was bears, and kind of as you play through, you unlock certain bears. They're just essentially bears in different costumes, but they give you little bonuses that help you get better scores, or they allow certain lettered tiles to stick around for a little bit longer. One of the things that happens as well is that after each turn, after each word that you've created, the timer ticks down, and each letter has a number against them, and that's just counting down turns. And if you don't use a letter and it gets to 0, it will turn into a stone, and that stops you from sort of clearing the board.
Right.
And you get a bonus at the end for creating bears, which will basically be, if you've taken those 4 letters out, then you'll get a bear which is 4 letters long. If you take out the 4 letters underneath, that will then double in size. So you get bonuses.
So like areas. contiguous areas.
Yeah, for areas. So a stone in the middle will stop you getting bigger bonuses at the end.
So So when I use, so it's not, so I thought it was like Bejeweled, where I use up letters and then it drops down and fills the space, but no, it's not.
No, it's not. It's just
that grid, and you have to use all those letters.
Yeah, exactly. And the grids, get larger the further you get through the game. There is also a timed mode as well, so you might get 2 minutes to make as many words as possible. And normally on those, you're kind of trying to hit through 3 or 4 letter words, whereas in the standard kind of mode, you're trying to make a biggest score as possible to maybe use 6, 7 letters if possible, if you have that many available and are able to kind of generate those words. So it's very easy to get into, and I think the whole bear aesthetic around it is, I can kind of take it or leave it. It's a little bit cutesy.
So you don't find it charming?
Not massively. I mean, I don't know whether they've chosen bears because they've decided to call it Alpha Bear, and it kind of works, that way for the title, or I think they
sometimes you
thrown
just
cats in and it would have been fine, But yeah. I don't think the bears add too much. But
it probably would be a worse game if it had no aesthetic.
Oh, yeah, probably. It does provide a lot of kind of the humour that kind of comes with it, and with the writing sort of in between each of the levels. With this one, I think with the first game, you were just basically playing, play this level, then this one will unlock, then you get to try a bonus level for the day. And then on the next day, play that level, then this one will unlock, and then you can go back to that. I haven't played it for, 18 months, 2 years maybe. So this one has a kind of almost a linear story running through as well. So, you play level 1, World 1, level 1, and then World 1, level 2, and you move kind of through with this little storyline going along. And then jump into World 2, and it's got this time travel thing to the story. So suddenly,
I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, I know. So World 2 is like a prehistoric level. So I'm unlocking dinosaur bears.
I was hoping you would just say dinosaurs.
There's loads of additional kind of layers to this game that they've loaded on top of the original game. You can train bears. Bears have certain or different kinds of bears have certain traits. So some of them are calm, some of them are scary, and different levels will add to the bonus for using, say, calm bears. And so they're trying loads of different ways to kind of add depth, I think, to kind of what you're doing, and try and allow you to build up additional bonuses and stuff like that. And it does build on the first game. I enjoyed the first game a lot, so I've kind of jumped into this one and I'm enjoying it. It's maybe not grabbed me as much as the original, because I don't think I played anything kind of with that aesthetic in a similar kind of style before. So the first game was charming.
It was not.
Whereas I think this one, it's not outstayed. The aesthetic and the bears, they haven't outstayed their welcome. It's just been done.
And also, they're kind of doubling down on the aesthetic by putting the story in, right? So if it was just sort of the aesthetic was great because it was novel, then it's never going to be the same, and putting more emphasis on it. Right? So what you're saying, if I can paraphrase you, is you don't want it to be really complex. You'd rather the game be bare.
Yay! Well, I'm enjoying a level of complexity. I don't want to have to train my bears up, so I get a 10% bonus rather than an 8% bonus.
Oh God, it's that complicated.
Yeah. You can. So every few hours, you can also just basically get a free bear, and that can either be one that you've already got, and if you duplicate them, they then automatically level up.
Right, like the standard up, like hero.
Yeah, Yeah, exactly. Or you get a new bear, and there's, I don't know, 80 to 100 bears to be able to to unlock, to be able to use, which I think they've not struggled with this one, because there was, a similar amount in the original. So, in the original game you had, I don't know, I can't remember any of them, like a unicorn bear, a bear dressed as a unicorn, or a police bear dressed as a policeman. I don't know, stuff like that. So, with kind of 100 already themed and costumed bears, some of the ones that have been kicking up in this have been like, oh, okay. I had like floppy disk bear.
Oh god.
And Game Boy bear. So they've kind of, they're trying. Yeah. I know. But
I don't know, man. Some of those things sound a little too rough. It sounds like I might not be able to bear it.
Hey, go if you haven't played the first game, go and play that. It's very good. It's I was going to say it stands up, but I haven't played it for like 18 months. So it's a very, from what I remember from playing this one, it's a very similar kind of game.
So the core mechanic sounds pretty similar.
It's almost exactly the same. Yeah. I'm not sure whether the structure around the progression and the leveling and stuff. Now I've kind of got this very linear kind of progression, whether I'd go back to what it had before, but again, I haven't been back to know whether that kind of stands up still. But I'm enjoying it, and it's a nice kind of filler for kind of the other things that I'm playing and doing, because a level will only take maybe 2 or 3 minutes, something like that. So it's a good game to sort of just think, oh, I've got 3 minutes, I'm waiting for the kettle to boil, I'll start something and just go, So yeah, it's fun.
Fair enough.
Which is all I can ask for, I suppose.
And yeah, so it fits that standard mobile. Sorry, the cat is sneezing. It fits that standard mobile niche.
Yeah, completely. There's lots of cooldowns as well. So it sort of
is it microtransaction
formula too. Sorry?
Are there microtransactions?
I imagine so. I haven't actually looked. You do collect different in-game currencies to be able to unlock stuff. So I would assume, yes,
you can
probably is.
Can't you just pay £5 and get all the bears, and then you don't have to play the game anymore?
I remember with as part of the loop, you have, I think it's honeycombs, and basically they regenerate every minute or every 2 minutes or something, and each level takes up, say, 25 honeycombs.
Right.
So you only have a certain amount to be able to do in, say, 1 day before stuff regenerates. I remember with the first game, I paid something like $2.99 maybe to just get unlimited honeycombs.
So you could just play the game at your own pace.
So I can just play the game at my pace.
So the game is free otherwise, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So I mean, that's fine. That's basically saying, I want your game, I'll pay £3 for your game, and then I don't have to worry about that.
Exactly. With this one, I haven't investigated yet. I've only been playing it for sort of 2 days so far, but there's a lot more, or at least it feels like there's a lot more ads in this game as well. So whether there is a
ad-free version,
give us £5 for an ad-free infinite honeycomb version, I'll see. But I'm not sure whether having bought into the first game and enjoyed that, whether I've got that want to.
Yeah, it sounds like if the game, the mechanical loop of the levels is the same. It's just the progression that's changed. So then you have unlimited honeycombs. Just replay the game.
Yeah, I mean, I could just go back to the first one and play that to get that same,
the actual puzzle itself.
I want. Yeah. So
that's fair. You played a game though.
I have played a game, and I mean, we'll see maybe next week whether I've played it any more than 3 days worth. See if it holds me for much longer.
That would be a good thing to know, because with these types of games, there's a lot of like novelty inertia on the first couple of days, and then you're like, oh, nope. Yeah. Cool. Well, how's that cowboy game going?
How's the cowboy game?
Cowboy game update. Insert jingle here.
I enjoy
the cowboy game update.
I enjoy being a cowboy. There's not much wrangling. Not a real kind of cowboy, you know, half cow, half boy. I'm not herding cows, you know. There's not really any cowboy in there.
Oh, I love that.
be
It's like
fair.
the BoJack Horseman approach to the term cowboy.
Just appears from a bush as a stranger.
Yeah.
Suddenly, like, oh god, what's this?
Also, I like the idea that it's the BoJack Horseman version, as in it's not a centaur. It's a cowboy.
Yeah.
First. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's still holding me. It is the game I want to play at the moment. I downloaded the prologue for Hitman 2. That sat there on my machine,
Was that
ready
free?
to go. Sorry?
Is that free?
Yes, it is. I don't know whether it's the same kind of deal as the last one, where you get kind of like the training mission.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, kind of, because I haven't started it up yet. But Lucy,
I still
know
haven't finished
Lucy's
Hitman
been
1.
enjoying it. Nah.
Or Hitman 1. Oh no, Hitman 1 is called Hitman Agent 47. At least
Hitman
that's
Agent
like
47.
yeah.
Hitman-
At least that's one of the series where they relaunched it with the name, but the name wasn't used before.
Exactly, and Hitman 2 was also called Hitman 2 Silent Assassin.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, them calling it just Hitman 2 hasn't.
And then they
been
didn't do
used
number
before.
3, right? It was just Blood Money.
There
was no numbering?
Was it Blood Money? And then it was Contracts,
Oh,
which was a rehash of levels from 1 and 2.
yeah. I think it was Blood Money first. I don't remember. Blood Money's a good
I
one. I'll play that one.
Yeah, Blood Money's fantastic. But I really liked, you know, the re-release of Hitman a couple of years ago. So I'm looking forward to getting into it. But again, it's kind of hasn't pulled me away from Red Dead. Or at least
It's hard when you have an epic game on your plate that
Yeah.
is like critically lauded and clearly enjoyable, and you're really liking it. And it's an open world, so like it's not just a big game. It's like I can make this game last as long as I fucking want.
Yeah, completely. And I mean, I'm kind of taking it at my own pace, but there's only so much.
And by that you mean you're walking. You've given up on horses, right?
Exactly. Yeah, it takes me ages to get anywhere. There's only so much like open world stuff I kind of want to do. So if I'm going down the road, I see a stranger, I'll think, okay, I'll go and do that. Or, you know,
Do
a
the
little bit of
stranger?
hunting, do them, do the quest.
Well,
that
it actually
they
meant. Oh, so they have
essentially-
quests.
Sort of. They'll kind of, someone might come out of the bushes and say, I've been bit by a snake, can you help me?
Okay. And then you
help them,
kill the
and then
snake
you go-
and you watch
then you
them
go on
die
your
from
way.
poison. Yeah.
Yeah. Or someone might come along and say, I've been robbed. Can you take me back to my house? Some of them are a little bit more involved.
Right.
You know, they might take you somewhere you have to clear out a group of enemies or something like that and get the house back for whoever, or
geez.
deliver something. You know,
Yeah,
it's
fetch
kind of like
quests, all the standard. It's like MMO
exactly.
tropes.
It is. It's exactly that. But they just, as I think we said last week, it just feels so natural that it just kind of it occurs. It happens.
Oh
That
wait,
you can ignore
they're
these
not just standing there idly with a yellow exclamation point over their head.
Well, no. You see a
What?
little.
How do
on
you
the
know
little
that they have a
mini-map,
quest to give you?
Just down here on the little mini map, sat down here, you just see this blip, and it will just go. Boom. But before you see the blip, you normally get some kind of
like
audio
visual
cue.
cue.
So someone will shout at you, or someone will stumble out of the bushes, or you know you'll hear gunfire somewhere.
Right. Can you functionally turn the minimap off? Like, could you play the
Yeah.
game without a minimap?
Yeah,
I
you
know that you
can.
could probably turn it off, but some games are like, turn off the minimap, and they're like, there's all kinds of things I need to learn from this map so that I can't play the game.
No, you can turn it off. You can also turn off the map and just bring up a compass, so you can just understand kind of which direction you're facing.
Oh, fuck, I'm really bad with compi.
Well, we pretty much got like that way, that way, and that way. There's only 4 ways, right? So you'll be fine. I mean,
Like, I navigate really well with maps, but like when someone says go north on this street, I'm like, I don't know what fucking north is. What am I, magnetic?
I think that's part of the thing. Like, some people will, you know, some things that you pick up will say go to this place, so you can open up your map and kind of find that place and just
guess-
make your way towards it.
Standard video game mechanic.
Yeah. Without
But you,
then having that mini map, it does, it does make out because it's such a big world. Until you've understood like the orientation of things and
oh,
where things are, it is quite difficult to.
oh
To
yeah,
navigate.
I was just curious because it seems like such a detailed, distinct, well-designed world. Whether it was functionally able to like try and do that silly thing that people love doing with video games, which is make it tougher because it'd be more real somehow.
I mean, you can.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can definitely.
Like that time I started and didn't finish Breath of the Wild without ever wearing a shirt. Because I decided at the beginning when Link emerged from his birthing pod, that he has no nipples. So I'm like, oh, he's not of woman born. I think he's proud of this. He should show it off all the time. And as I got through the game, it's like, it really sucks not wearing a quarter of your armor.
Just taking hits everywhere.
It's doable.
Yeah. I mean, well, yes, it must be. I've talking about outfits. I've stuck with Arthur Morgan's base outfit as well. There's so much kind of not put into the outfits and stuff. Obviously, they come with a lot of detail and they are available to you. But I've never kind of seen a reason to change my outfit, except when I'm. One of the good things is that when you go to the to the extreme north of the map and you're up in the mountains and it's snowing, if you have your regular outfit on, you'll be cold. And your health doesn't regenerate as quickly.
Oh, cool.
So you want to change into your warm weather, your cold weather gear. And then again, it hasn't happened yet, but I'm assuming at some point I'm going a little further south. Whether that is kind of because Blackwater exists as it did in in Red Dead Redemption, and it looks like part of the map continues on past Blackwater, so you're going to be revisiting part of the map that was open in Red Dead Redemption, which was a lot more sort of open plains and desert than than Red Dead Redemption 2 is, which is quite hilly and mountainous, and there's a swamp, and it's varied in its environments. So at some point I'm going to have to just get into me breeches, me vest, my straw hat, and just kind of.
Oh, can you get a straw hat?
I don't know. I'm hoping I can get a straw hat.
So I mean, with games like this where it's immersive and there's a lot of
sheath,
I tend not to want to do too much random customization.
Yeah.
Like so in GTA 5, for example, I picked my favorite of the stock haircuts, and then left it at that basically.
Yeah.
And wore whatever they happened to be wearing in whatever mission. But in GTA Online, because it's like your character, I actually liked trying different outfits on and being as a different person. But also like Saints Row 2.
Yeah.
What I think my favorite old school GTA game, non-plot heavy mayhem. I think it's one of the best examples of that genre. Way better than 4 was. GTA 4 was, but Saints Row 2, I also did because it's it's sort of like I like that it toes the line between grounded plot and nonsense, and so I would try and wear not total nonsense like banana costume nonsense, but like weird costumes, right? And because it was fun because like in GTA 4, what's the point? That guy doesn't give a shit about what he's wearing. Why would I change his shirt?
Yeah, completely. Yeah,
right. Yeah. He's such a dull, grounded character. But with Saints Row 2, it's like, this world is a little different, and there's all these weird events that show you that the world is weird. But it still had a decent, regular, quote-unquote, plot. But that seems to be, like, for me, the border between where I might care about changing my outfit, because it's kind of open. And, oh no, the like, I'm too tied to, like, the game narrative to give a shit. Like, it doesn't make sense for me to...
And that's fair, I mean, I just haven't felt a need in Red Dead 2 to do that, to explore that. But as you say, I think with my brief time with GTA Online, I kind of did dabble a little bit in kind of what it had to offer in the aesthetic kind of regard. So we'll see, maybe with Red Dead Online.
That's never going to happen. It's all a sham.
Supposedly, there's going to be a beta in a couple of weeks for it. Whether that just is open to everybody or not, who knows? I don't.
That will be interesting to see what kind of because from what I understand, Red Dead's much more grounded a world, and whether
Yes.
they just say fuck it, where this is the online version, motherfuckers do weird shit, will have really weird things, or whether they do like jump straight into like heists, like cloning the heist mode of GTA Online or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be also interesting sort of how they treat things like horses and property and stuff, because obviously that's quite a big, getting your car and your house and upgrading, so you've got a bigger garage for more cars and stuff.
Yeah,
Is kind of the progression of GTA Online, really.
which is why I sort of stopped playing.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's exactly why I stopped playing.
Like I got a bunch of money when I bought the game. I bought a nice pad, got a couple cars. Don't really like the racing events. Only so much you can do of running and gunning people with bounties.
Yep.
Which is weird, because I thought this was like if you said to me like 15 years ago that game exists that way, I'd be like, this is what I've been waiting for. I fucking like talked about with my friends, and how is this not the case? I still think the best online mode or MMO like GTA style multiplayer thing is the San Andreas gang warfare.
Yes, that's exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah, right. It's so good. If that was actual, actual taking over the city and you being part of the gang, and your gang being your clan and other people fighting you for just the property, but because it'd be such a back and forth thing, it would be super interesting.
Yeah, you pick a faction at the beginning, and this could be, they have gangs within the world of Red Dead. You come up against, I think in the the encyclopedia, the compendium that they have in the pause menu, there's maybe 5 gangs, maybe 6. So they exist, and they must exist in certain places within the world as well, or at least some of them exist, very kind of locally within the world. So whether that can play into it, I mean, that would be the exact online game that I want from this. It's something that I really enjoyed about Dark Age of Camelot, which was a pretty standard MMO, like early 2000s. But they had this meta game where you picked a realm, and there were 3 realms, and you basically vied for control of the PvP area, and having control gave you bonuses in the world, so you could go out and you could get like XP boosts and things like this. So that was when I was high enough level. That's pretty much all I wanted to go and do, just that realm versus realm combat, a lot of it was just take this tower and hold it for a certain amount of time. You then own this portion of the map, and you can kind of push forward and push against the rest of the the other 2 realms, or this one realm you're fighting against. And that was super interesting to me. I really enjoyed that, and it wasn't something I'd had in a game before, exactly, or had since, really. So
I mean, the beginning of WoW was similar in the contested areas of PvP.
Yeah, sort of. Yeah,
but the big problem was then they came out with Battlegrounds, and no one did world PvP, even on PvP.
Yeah, completely.
But Alex, my flatmate, and his brother were big into Dark Age of Camelot, and actually, his brother has been feeding him a lot of information about Camelot Unchained.
Oh yeah,
the thing coming out from the original creators and developers, and apparently it's like really focusing on that type of thing.
Nice.
Yeah, so it'd be worth reading up on. I don't remember any of the details. I wouldn't want to misconstrue them, but it sounded really neat, and I was like, yeah, I don't have a life that has MMO space in it, I don't think, but that sounds neat. I mean, the big thing is that it sounds like they're making it so that you can play casually. Which would one of the few things that might get me back to an MMO is like friends who are playing it semi-regularly, and that if I haven't played in weeks, I'm not going to get fucked.
Yeah, you can drop in and out very easily. You haven't been left behind by like level progress or gear progress and stuff like that. Obviously, you have some kind of, albeit to a detriment to kind of everybody else who has been playing, but not one that's insurmountable by having to then play continuously for 3 weeks to kind of reach their level. If it's something you can go, I need to put an hour into this to be able to pick myself up to be at the same level as these guys, which then kind of doesn't cater towards the people who want to play it all of the time. There is a massive balance to try and get there, with making a game for kind of
Well,
both
I mean,
people to
sort
drop
of,
in and out
but, like-
and to play all the time.
But like, I don't know, like FPSs, they have some progression, but not a lot. And the people who play a lot are just usually get better than everyone. And there's,
Yeah.
I mean, a good FPS, you can be semi-casual on because it's not the case that they'll have the best guns and thus always kill you. Right, I think that's one of the problems of like the gear loop of MMOs is a real big problem because it necessarily gives you that gap between casual.
Yeah.
But I guess I think it's weird because you'd think it's because of the plot that you can't do something like FPSs where it's just the same maps over and over, but then functionally at the end game is just the same as Rainbow Six Siege, right? Like it's the same thing, and it's just such a weird thing, and I think it's because the people who want to play these games want that loop, but they want to play it in this setting that they've spent a lot of time in. And I think that's why a lot of MMOs start cutting story focus really soon.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of the reason why I stopped playing World of Warcraft. You know, I got to as good as I could get with a character. Joined a very regular raiding guild who raided 4 times a week. This was during like Wrath of the Lich King, so I was doing raids at that level. Yeah.
Is that the Death Knight time?
Yes, it is the Death Knight time, yeah.
I just realized it said Death Knighty, and then I imagined like a camisole or something you put on
camisole,
that just kills you. Yeah. A shitty Stephen King story.
God. One of his better novels, no.
I might have peeked, sorry.
What was I saying? World of Warcraft.
Rather the bitch
Wrath of
king.
the Lich King did some raids. The best like bow in the game dropped, which I rolled for and I got, and basically I was then asked to be on every raid because I was one of the top 5 DPS in the guild. So it's like, right, you know you've geared up to this point. Can you be online 4 times a week? I'm like, not really.
But I can buy the enchantment skill and then disenchant it in front of you on Twitch.
Just destroy this high value equipment. Just I'm not that mean. Shall we open up another beer?
I was thinking that, yeah.
Yeah. Let's go. Oh, I'm going to crack mine. Whilst you finish yours, I shall reveal what I'm drinking. It's not a big reveal. It's kind of a link. It's kind of linked to my last beer, which was made by Beer52 and their project called Table. This is a table beer. That kind of works, right? How the fuck do you say this word? It's from Lervig. It's a 3.5% table beer, and it is Magellanic Clouds. Magellanic Clouds.
I had it, and then you've said it too many times in the wrong way. The Magellanic.
That's what I thought. Magellanic.
I mean, it's heavenly body.
This one.
Magellanic. Oh God, I hate that you. I could have, if you showed me the words, I would have been able to say it. And now I can't because I have your like 3 pronunciations stuck in my head.
There's the words.
Magellanic.
Unless it's Welsh and the double L's are more like an F. Like something like that. No, that's what I've got.
You know, it's a couple of galaxies. Hey. You see in the night sky. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like I know of it. I just now can't tell. I think it's
okay.
Yeah.
Well, maybe it's got galaxy hops in, perhaps. But there's no info on the hops or any of the ingredients really, and there's no flavor text with it.
Oh, well, that's classy.
So yeah.
Well, while you pour, I'm gonna open a beer from Manual Brewing.
Ah.
Quite a lovely sort of office escalator.
Oh, I like that. I really like that.
Really
That's
nice label.
Yeah.
And it's called Tickets Please. And it is a
Okay.
New England double IPA at a 8.5%.
Nice.
Dry hopped with Mosaic Amarillo and Azaka, fermented with a blend of London Ale Ill, and Burlington yeast. I don't know that yeast.
No.
Strains, tasting notes are tropical, stone fruit, wheat and haze. Pine, wheat, and haze.
Ooh.
Haze.
Haze.
What tasty note is haze? Maybe they just mean notes. Sure, it looks
L-
hazy.
Light smokiness.
I'm assuming they
Is that
mean
more
it's
of a
hazy
fog?
beer, but it's because what threw me off was I don't know if you can see this, and this is great podcasting. Where is it? That symbol right there.
Just on
It's
my screen, it
equal
just
to-
looks like a square.
Oh, it's an equal sign with a tilde over, which means
Okay.
approximately equal.
Mhm.
It's a mathematical expression that doesn't make sense, but then they give notes. So I'm assuming they mean like there's a mild isomorphism.
It was easier than saying there or thereabouts, wasn't it? Something.
Yeah, but maybe haze is maybe whatever that symbol's supposed to capture is all of the things, not just tasting notes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I'm pouring terribly.
Nice. You pour. So, Magellanic Clouds, if that's how it's said. Super light. Quite translucent as well. Really kind of... Not yellowy, but it's kind of... Huh. He's gone. Where is he? He ran away. Did you spill your beer? He hasn't got his headphones in, so he can't hear me. He's disappeared. Did you spill your beer?
I dribbled down the can as I was like, oh shit, I'm pouring really poorly, and then I did a bad thing.
Oh dear, that's okay. You've cleaned it up now. You'll be all right. Yeah.
Oh, beer, all right.
Hey, your bear, all right? No.
Alpha beer.
Super light. Almost a very
Hyperlight?
similar level of head to the Freak Scene I had earlier, but a lot lighter in color. Very kind of golden straw color. A little bit transparent. You get a little fruitiness off the nose, not much at all, but in the flavour, there's a little bit of citrus to start with, which kind of kicks into that, nice kind of bitter, fruity kind of flavour. It's not big at all. It's very light. It's only 3.5%. It's a table beer, so you expect it to be quite light, but it's very watery, and I'm a little surprised that that bitterness kicks around for kind of as long as it does. It is still there now. So it's very easy. It's going to disappear so quickly because it's like tasting water with, it's like tasting kind of
Bitter water.
bitter lemon, citrusy bitter water almost.
That's
There's a little bit going on with the malts, but not a huge amount, just to give it a little bit of body. But they're kind of taking very much of a back seat in this, I think.
so. Is that like one baby or half a baby?
Half a baby.
Okay.
Down the middle, probably.
Oh dear. The head is, despite my shitty pour, is already subsided. It's just not that heady of a beer. I'm getting some maltiness. Not familiar with the Azeka hops, but I definitely slight nose for the Amarillo and the Mosaic. Oh, also, not really hazy. Hazy? I think hazy.
Yeah, a little. Yeah.
That is really well done. I can't taste the 8.5% at all.
Okay.
This is a beer that has stone fruit that I think you would like.
Ooh, okay.
So like the It's definitely there, but really subdued. It's just a part of the flavor. Getting a lot of the maltiness off of this, which is helping sort of, but it blends really well with both the sort of tropically natured mosaic,
Yeah.
and the stone fruit. This is a really both these beers have been really well balanced.
Nice.
Leaves the mouth actually a little wet with just a slight bitterness. So like the mouthfeel that lingers is wet, but there's a line of bitterness, which makes sense. It's hard to not do that with a 8.5% DIPA.
Yeah.
Again, fruit involved, but not in front.
Right.
If anything, this is less obviously fruity than the other one.
Okay, that's interesting.
Mm-hmm. Which, I mean, the other one had fruit like piled in. But
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got that maltiness is right at the sort of beginning middle of the taste and kind of fades away, and that gives way to some of that stone fruit. It's really tempered by the malts, I think, actually is what it is. So I actually think it's one of those things where unless you you wouldn't immediately think on first sip, oh, this is like a stone fruit note. It's one of those nice nuanced notes. And it glancing at the can, seeing that they said pine, I was like, really? Yeah, it's kind of there. I don't know how much of that is symptomatic of me reading the pine, but there is that sort of, I think it's less that it tastes like pine. You ever, when you were a child, or even when you weren't, ever grab a pine needle, like crack it, chew on it? It's a thing we do in Canada sometimes. But like, there's like the taste of the pine needles, but there's also that like that hit of that strong flavor, and there's like a peak in the flavor that reminds me of that without really having a lot of the lingering flavor of pine, which I find interesting. Just sort of mid-taste, you have a little bit of a
that is interesting.
Yeah.
Ooh, sounds good though. I should be looking out for Manual next time I'm kind of around, I think. Next time I'm bottle shop spending, I suppose, which will be probably next week at some point. I'll see where it is, if it's in the US still. Nice. Let's enjoy these, and we'll move on to our topic.
Yeah,
I suppose. It's a bit of a sad topic, really.
Yeah, I think we're going to take a celebratory note to it, in the sense of celebrating what has come by, not celebrating what has happened. I just realized how that could be misinterpreted.
Yeah.
But yeah, our buddy Stan passed away this week.
Everybody's buddy, really.
Yeah, Stan Lee, the man whose name is also one name.
Yes, I never even thought of that. Oh,
do you think he was born Stanley Lee and he just went by Stan?
Oh, don't know. I have no idea. Is it a stage name completely? Could he be Stanley something? I don't know.
If only we could do research or something. But yeah,
someone will know.
Yeah. But yeah, he passed away at the age of 95. For those of you in our audience who don't know who he is, you don't exist. There's no way.
No, everyone knows who Stanley is.
But yeah, I mean, one of the founding father of Marvel Comics. I won't list which superheroes he has said, because some of them he has claimed that other people have claimed were Jack Kirby, and that's not a thing we need to get into.
No.
Actually, his name was Stanley Martin Lieber when he was born.
Okay.
So he literally just took his first name.
Yeah. Or shortened his
or Lieber to Lee.
Yeah.
But it's weird that like Lieber could be Lee, so did he shorten both, but effectively just take his first name?
Yeah.
I can't believe this never occurred to you. Stanley, yeah. Anyway, yeah, so we thought what we would do is a bit of a retrospective on Marvel video games. And it turns out there's been an absolute shit ton of them.
Yeah.
So we're not obviously going to go through the entire extensive list, because that will take ages. I've got Lucy's list. I'll try and make sure we catch them as we go. But I
Yep.
think we're just gonna chronologically go through and mention games we've played rather than all of the games that have ever been made in Marvel, and then if we feel like waxing nostalgic about the superhero involved, and I think that's fine.
Yeah, I think before we kind of go into it, it's interesting that I suppose maybe Spider-Man is one of the bigger Marvel properties, but the first kind of Marvel, I guess I don't know whether these are video games based on Marvel comics, which I assume must mean they're Marvel licensed games, because they wouldn't be able to take the name of the game, I would think, without some kind of licensing, without some kind of deal. So the first game released is Spider-Man. The first Marvel licensed game is Spider-Man.
Spider-Man for the Atari 2600.
Yes, and we're kind of at a time now where the last Marvel licensed game released is also Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
Probably.
I thought we were going to bookend it, but now you've given the plot away, as if no one knew.
Spider-Man is probably not the most kind of well loved, but maybe the most recognized.
Oh no, for sure.
Superhero?
There's a reason why the Marvel logo for years has been a Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And then since the Raimi movies especially, he was by far the most well-known Marvel superhero. I think that's one of the reasons why they fought so hard to bring Spider-Man into the MCU, because you can't have a Marvel universe without Spider-Man. But he spent time in the Avengers, but that's never been like his main gig.
Mm-hmm.
The MCU's Avengers based. You could easily have not done it except it's Spider-Man, right? It's because it's Spider-Man. In 1982, the first Marvel licensed game called Spider-Man. I don't think I know I didn't play it because I never had a 2600.
No, nor I.
I'm doing this thing I said I wouldn't do, but it's the first one. I'm just curious what oh my god. So I just Googled it, and I think if you just need to Google Spider-Man Atari 2600, click the images, just to see how amazing the graphics were.
Okay.
Because it actually, it's a lot of building climbing and stuff. I'm super curious about this game. I just, it's been a while since I've seen a 2600 game, which wasn't based on new IP, so it all made sense within the pixelation, right? Anyway,
wow.
so
I'm just having a look now. Wow. I don't think I played this, but I've definitely played games that look almost exactly the same as this.
So I don't know about you, but I got nothing to say about the things that happened on the Apple and the Atari and the Commodore.
No, man, no, nor I. My first machine was a Mega Drive, so I skip out a massive ton of these games, and even a lot of the Mega Drive, or at least as they say, the Genesis games, I just didn't play. I was a very young kid who, at the time, I suppose, I think I got my first console around about the age of 10, maybe 8, somewhere around there, 92, 94, something like that. So I probably didn't know a huge amount of superheroes at that time. Things like the X-Men cartoon or the Spider-Man cartoon and stuff. They weren't around then. I don't think my exposure to these, at least the Marvel stuff, didn't happen until maybe I was an early teenager, really.
Yeah, that sounds about right. The one thing I will mention, because it's hilarious, is the fact that in 1986, for the Commodore 64, Apple II, and other things, they released a Howard the Duck game.
Yeah, I did see.
But that was also the first Activision license of Marvel.
Ooh,
which was a
that
big thing. Is that
early?
license? Sorry.
That early?
Yeah, I mean, and that's a relationship that's lasted a long time.
It is. It is. I mean, there's a lot of looking through this. I mean, Sega have published a few. Acclaim have done quite a lot as well.
Yeah, I think there was
And it
a switch from so I think Acclaim had a license for a long time, and then Activision retook it for a bunch, unless it was crossover stuff.
yeah, it very much looks like it depends on the system that it's put out on. So Acclaim did a lot of Game Boy, Nintendo systems. Yeah, Acclaim, Game Boy, NES. It's some on the Genesis, things like Spider-Man and X-Men in Arcade's Revenge. But I think I don't know whether you go back any further than this. But I think the first game that I remember playing, which is a Marvel game, was The Incredible Hulk on the Mega Drive.
I don't think I ever played that one.
Um,
What year was that?
1994.
So 93. I do remember the Punisher Genesis game.
Okay.
I remember cousin being in town, being a big fan of the Punisher, and us renting it, and it like goes generic side scroller type thing,
Yeah.
basically reskinned to Streets of Rage, essentially, right?
Okay. Yeah.
I mean that category of game. I guess not Streets of Rage because that's sort of inherently multiplayer, but the idea of like just wandering around punching people or shooting them and whatever. But I think I can't remember details obviously because it was a billion years ago.
Yeah.
But I think it was more punchy than shooty.
Oh.
That you would think.
Okay.
But why don't you tell us about so the Incredible Hulk? You remember playing this?
I do remember, yeah. I very specifically remember. I had a very quick look at it earlier, and I don't remember very well the levels. What I remember is kind of like the boss battles. I remember fighting like Abomination as the first boss that you come up to. I remember fighting Rhino as the second boss that you come up to. You then fight Abomination again, and then you fight a guy that I have no idea who he is. Even looking through this, I'm like, I don't know who that guy is. Flies around. I don't remember anything past that. I must never have beaten that boss. But the Incredible Hulk is basically just a side-scrolling platformer. It's a weird take on the Incredible Hulk. Looks, from what I kind of looked at earlier, like there's not much variety in what you're doing. You run, you punch, you throw. You run, you punch, you throw. You run, you punch, you throw. A little bit of difference with the bosses and stuff. Rhino at least kind of charged you side to side, and you had to do stuff to get out of the way or kind of uppercut him and things like this. But I mean, it's kind of, I think it's maybe one of my first kind of exposures to Marvel.
Really?
Yeah, really. So 94. So I was only 10 then. So I think that, whether it was the Incredible Hulk or whether it was kind of something else around about the time, kind of Marvel related, I think that kind of kicked me into to then starting to explore kind of, the world of Marvel, Stanley's creations, Jack Kirby's creations and stuff. And I was very much kind of, apart from maybe the 89 Batman film and Batman 2, whatever that was called, the one with Danny DeVito in.
Whoa, hold on. Two things.
Batman Returns, not Batman 2.
Yeah, there's no way you can't know Batman Returns.
Yeah.
And I thought we were talking about Marvel.
Yes. I was going to say, so I think those two films were kind of my only exposure to DC. The original Batman TV show, and maybe the original trilogy of the Superman films. But I think that's kind of how I saw DC, kind of more as the televised kind of stuff. Whereas
I see
Marvel,
what you're saying.
I think so. For Marvel, for me, kind of started out almost with this Incredible Hulk game, and then moved into comics.
Right.
And that's kind of how the Incredible Hulk on the Sega Mega Drive.
That was your entry to comic books.
Was my into comic books, I think.
Oh, so I lied. I lied very poorly.
Okay.
1992 is when the fucking X-Men arcade game came out.
Right.
I don't know if I played it then, but fuck off if I played hours and hours of that game. That game is the tits. It's the best. I love that game. It's a side scroller up to 4 people. Wolverine, Cyclops. I can't remember the 4th one because Colossus was in that game. Storm, maybe. Actually, it might have been more than. I think it was a bigger variety of characters than 4. You just could only play 4 at a time.
4. Yeah, yep.
Cyclops, Colossus, Wolverine, Storm, Nightcrawler, or Dazzler, right? But I always played as Colossus. Fucking his super move where he like just sheds his metal skin and somehow that makes an explosion was the best. I loved it. I loved that he was a strong puncher. I played so much of that game, and it is definitely was my introduction to the X-Men. Mm-hmm. I didn't really know much about them at the time. I just I knew people were fans of them. I didn't read their comics until later, and it was like, oh, these are really fun. That's also why I think Colossus was like my favorite X-Men, because he was my favorite character in the game, and Wolverine, I just didn't like playing as him, so I didn't see what the big deal about Wolverine was for years because I didn't read the comics. It was like, oh, because although to be fair, I understood Cyclops was garbage from the start. But yeah, no, that is definitely. I mean, I'm sure. I mean, I would have been 9 came out. I'm sure I played it relatively around that time.
Yeah, I was thinking about this. I remember playing X-Men in an arcade, but I think it might have been the Children of the Atom arcade cabinet, which was after Incredible Hulk, and it probably wasn't until a year or two after it was released. You know, it's probably more like 97, something like that I played that, and that must have been when the TV show was out, and that was probably I played the arcade because of the TV show more than the other way around. So. Yeah, I know. I seem to remember Lucy might have had Children of the Atom on her list.
She did, yeah.
Well, yeah.
So also in that early 90s area, same. So I think they basically just pumped out a few in 1994, right? I never played the Wolverine one, but I did play Spider-Man and Venom Maximum Carnage, or as we knew it as Maximum Carnage, because on the box art it's like Spider-Man and Venom Maximum Carnage, and that was. Again, with the same cousin stuff, I never got to own it. I think the cover seemed obviously violent, and someone was like, "Maybe we won't buy this one." But it came in the Genesis cartridge was red.
Nice.
And I was like, "Oh, this game's cool."
Yep.
And yeah, you can play as Spider-Man or Venom. On your way to go kill Carnage, basically. I
like that these characters are kind of, you know, even this early, are already being introduced in the video games. You know, they've not just stuck to. It's not just here's Spider-Man crawling up a building again. Here's just Wolverine walking around.
This was, I think, around the time Maximum Carnage actually came out in the comics as well. Like this was the huge event into the Spider-Verse, and so I think that. I think that's why they put the game out. And of course, all these games have such simple mechanics. It really is kind of a skinning game, right? A skinning and writing game. But yeah, you're right. At the same year for the Saturn arcade and PlayStation, Children of the Atom came out, which Lucy had on her list. I've never played the game.
Okay.
I have no idea what Children of the Atom's like.
You can look now.
Well, I was just wondering if you had thoughts about it instead of me just Googling it.
My problem with a lot of these Marvel games is that so many of them have bled into each other.
Yeah.
That it's difficult to kind of pick out, apart from, say, like Marvel versus Capcom, which again is one of my earlier kind of Marvel games.
Is it? Wait, I may have played this. This is the first Marvel fighting game.
Is it the first Marvel fighting game?
Oh, it, like as in like Street Fighter wise?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Okay.
I don't know what would have been before it. I mean, without clicking on all these goddamn links, but like the rest are very much Spider-Man's journey, Silver Surfer's journey.
There's so many fucking games.
Yeah.
There's so many games.
Yeah, but I mean, in the beginning, the fighting games were still pretty. rare. Well, yeah. Well, I guess when the Genesis. I think this might have been one, but anyway, it's definitely a memorable one. I just didn't remember it was called Children of the Atom. I mean, I played a lot of fighting games, but like I owned games like Brutal Paws of Fury. Yeah. Do you know this game?
Yeah.
All right. In the audience, if you don't know, Google it. It's amazing. It's like there's no tie-in. It's just P, and it's a fighting game, but they're all animal people, like our friend the cowboy. I owned Shaq Fu, which wasn't a fighting game. I found out because it's a bit of a side scroller, isn't it?
Yeah.
I can't remember. Yeah, and I was just like, oh yeah, I want to beat people up with Shaq.
Def Jam Vendetta is one of the best fighting games. Anyway, so moving on quite quickly through a few of the years. They start to kind of only go to a few games from 1996, which has got a ton of games. There's only 4 of them in 1997, and then only 1 game in 1998.
Yeah, so I think we should slow down though, because the first Capcom Marvel game was what, X-Men versus Street Fighter, right?
X-Men versus Street Fighter, yes, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's super important. I never played that one. I think I've played the other ones in that series, but I mean, it was super successful and it was such a novel idea. This was when like worlds can collide.
Yeah. It was super interesting as well. Kind of, a lot of people would have played Street Fighter at that time, coming in with these different. It's not kind of just a reskinning of Street Fighter with X-Men characters. It's a slightly different game with a slightly different kind of. It's not a different input thing, but it's kind of it's a different vibe. It's a different aesthetical style.
Well, yeah, and I mean, it was so successful that they came out with Marvel versus Street Fighter in '97, a year later, where they're basically like, we'll pump up, like, it won't just be the X-Men, it'll be other heroes.
Yeah, and it's interesting as well, I suppose, because it's Street Fighter. All of those Marvel vs. Street Fighter, Marvel Superheroes vs. Street Fighter, they're all Capcom made games.
Yeah, because they basically pumped the license out.
Yeah.
But I did tell you we would talk about on the Wikipedia article of list of video games based on Marvel Comics. They have in 1997 the Men in Black the game.
Yeah.
Which came out for Windows and PlayStation, which means there's a way, like, you could probably download it. God, I actually haven't, but I'm going to just look up what it looked like. And so we were talking about this. Oh God, it's already garbage. I'm
gonna have to find it now. Men in Black the game.
It's like it's got that weird, horrible camera that like you had in like early Resi.
I might have had this.
What?
Looking at the cover, I may have owned this.
But that's just the cover of the game. The movie rather, with the game
very similar.
Printed on it.
It's very similar. But seeing the cover with PlayStation on the bottom is hitting me. Looking at the gameplay.
Oh,
I do not remember this game.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I don't think you've. Oh man, it's great. So this is the curse of Wikipedia, because in the same year that Men in Black the video game came out, there was a Marvel licensed comic. And so, because of the nuances of Wikipedia being not so nuanced, they've decided this is a video game based on Marvel comics, when in fact it was a Marvel comic based on a movie that also had a video game.
Oh dear. Okay.
Yeah.
Scratch off.
Yeah. There also was a computer-only X-Men game in '97, which I didn't know about, but The Ravages of Apocalypse.
No, never played that one.
And then we get the first Marvel vs. Capcom in '98.
Yep.
Double check Lucy's list. I think we're still good. Oh, Mutant Academy she has in 2000. I don't know this game.
No, I don't either, actually.
But Lucy does. Hey Lucy, what did you think of that game? I played it, she says. Cool. And then of course, I mean, we're skipping over obviously the million Spider-Man and X-Men games that come out, right? But I think it's important to note the Spider-Man game that comes out in 2000.
Yeah.
Because that's tied into the movie.
Oh,
Right.
is that the movie one?
Oh, I'm wrong.
No.
I got my years wrong.
That Spider-Man game is the so it's the original to like Spider-Man 2. You know, the much lauded PlayStation Spider-Man 2. Or it's on more things than that, but yeah, this was the original to that, I believe.
Right.
With like super close draw distance and not very good.
No.
swinging.
That's the 2002 Spider-Man.
What?
Because Spider-Man 2
Fuck's sake.
came out in 2004 as a sequel to the 2002 one that came out on the PlayStation 2, GameCube, Xbox, and everything. I'm totally wrong. I got my years wrong. This is just a shitty Spider-Man game that no one knows about. I apologize. I prematurely ejaculated on the Spider-Man. I also didn't know in 2000 there was a Blade game that came out. So what's weird about this Spider-Man game, the X-Men Mutant Academy game and Blade, is they came out on the PlayStation and the Game Boy Color. Those were the two systems. What?
It's odd, isn't it? It's very odd.
It's clearly not the same game. They've just
no.
labeled it the same, which I fucking hated. I'm really glad we don't do that anymore. It was the worst in like the late 90s, early 2000s. We're like, well, we're selling this game. We want it to have the same name because that's what sells it. So we'll make two different games for two very different platforms and be like, it's the same thing. Don't worry about it.
I think that doesn't happen a lot with any of the other games, like Blade 2 or whatever else they put out. A lot of them are kind of like GameCube, PlayStation 2, Xbox, Windows.
Yeah, so as soon as we hit like the PlayStation 2, GameCube, Xbox era, there was like shitty, like there was like the GameCube can't run it, so we'll make it shittier, but it's like the same basic core game. But before that, because there was so much weird diversity and like people had thought, they basically were like, video games are video games, so you'll buy the Game Boy version.
Yeah.
Even though it's obviously a different game, but we won't tell you that. Like it was just, there wasn't a knowledge there. All the aunts and grandmas were like, well, if you wanted this game, I could get it on the Game Boy instead of PlayStation.
Let's move through.
I mean, I just so I think we should jump straight to the Spider-Man 2.
2018.
No, it's Spider-Man 2. So we accidentally talked about Spider-Man 2002, which was okay, but like I think the important thing is Spider-Man 2 in 2004, the GameCube, PlayStation 2, Xbox game. A game I've owned 4 years and just sold on eBay like 2 months ago because I was getting rid of stuff.
I think it's often held up as one of the best versions of Spider-Man, one of the best uses of moving around the city. Is this the one where the storyline is it Mysterio has got some kind of fog or some gas around the city, which is why you can't go on the ground. It's why you have to stay in on the rooftops, and the draw distance is really close. And is that what the story's like?
I don't.
Maybe I remember enjoying.
Oh, awesome! It turns out, looking at the Wikipedia game thing, is the PC version and the console version very different.
Of course they are. It's the 2000s. Everything's just whatever. It was made by Activision, MacPlay, and Taito. Yes. So who knows, really?
Yeah, it is Mysterio making Spider-Man go through a bunch of.
Thought it was. That bit stuck with me, obviously.
So I don't remember the plot at all. I just remember, including going back, because like I still own a PlayStation 3, which play PlayStation 2 games, like, which I was gonna sell, which is why I sold the game, because the only reason I had the PlayStation 3 was so I could play that game, and then I was like, I don't know if I'll ever actually play this game. I just like knowing I can. I'll sell this game, but then I didn't sell the thing that was more expensive. Anyway, it held up a couple of years ago, even like it just the web swinging, yeah, the web swinging, yeah, was so organic, and like
Yeah.
angles mattered and momentum mattered, and like web to nowhere, which is the shittiest thing that happened after this game, was like, oh, you just throw a web and it'll latch onto something. Don't worry about it. Just swing.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's easier for you. It's like, no, the point is of Spider-Man is he can't fly. He has encumbered by things. Why Spider-Man is such a New York superhero is because his mobility only works in like a fucking concrete jungle.
Completely. Yep. Completely.
And it's like, how do you not get this? And it was so infuriating because I loved that game. So like, I own on PC those Amazing Spider-Man games that came out and a couple other ones. Like, I have a handful of PC Spider-Man games versions because they were cheaper than the console ones by the time they came out. And they were always so dissatisfying on movement because it was so stilted and just like, do this. You didn't have momentum, you didn't have angle, and you had like, it didn't matter, whatever. You just push the button and you're going to move in that direction.
Yeah, disappointing in the kind of the way that they took the tech with it and stuff, but at least the modern or the new.
I was going to say,
Spider-Man.
well, I think we'll get to 2018 shortly because we don't want to mire ourselves in too much shit.
Completely.
It's, I mean, I haven't played it yet because I forgot to borrow it from you last time I was over. But it sounds like they've gone back to that, like the roots being this game.
Yeah, very much. Should we jump? I know you're probably dying to talk about Ultimate Alliance and maybe Ultimate Alliance 2.
Yes.
Scrolling through the games between, even Spider-Man 2 and then Ultimate Alliance, there's not a huge amount in there that I actually touched. Plus, I've only got like 10 minutes. So.
Oh, okay, cool. I think X-Men Legends is a progenitor of Ultimate Alliance. Is that the one? Because it's the action role-playing one. But I'm fine with just talking about Ultimate Alliance. But all the things that I like about Ultimate Alliance games came kind of from this game.
Right.
X-Men Legends. But Ultimate Alliance and Ultimate Alliance 2 are, I think, my favorite Marvel games.
Wow, okay.
I think that they're like arcadey, play through a plot up to 4 people, and there's progression. You level up, you get better powers, you unlock better powers, you make your powers better. But what I really liked about it was there was a 2-player mode where you and a friend could co-op.
Yeah.
But whoever did the best on that level got bonuses, which allowed them to level up faster, which also meant that they would do better next time. So there was this like actual, like from the start, competitive nature to the co-op gameplay. But that's also cool. When you played that level, so if you play in general arcade mode, there are 4 characters. You control one at a time and you can swap. When you play it in this other mode, you pick a character, you're with that for the entire game. They're with theirs for the entire game, and there aren't alternates. It's a 2-hero game, and that's the best way to play the Ultimate Alliance games, I think, because you stuck with your character, you chose them, you progress them, and there's no this like, I'm about to die, I'll just jump into body X. And it also just like then you get to learn the mechanics of the characters, but like the gameplay is slightly less tight on the PC, which is the only way you can buy it now. But on the Xbox on the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360. Super tight, well handleable. Played a bunch of the different heroes. Settled on Human Torch. Loved it. But it was just like it was also like a real comic-y storyline about like Doom trying to take over the world and like the Avengers getting together and trying to stop him, and like Doom bots and other enemies, and like it felt the writing was done well enough that it felt like one of those yearly crossover events. Like it didn't feel
That's very cool.
Yeah, and so it felt like, I give a shit about the story. I'm not fast forwarding through these things, but also the gameplay is so fun, especially in that mode where I'm competing with someone / being attached to a hero. I think like marrying those two things together just made it such a good game, such that I don't like playing it with just access to the 4 heroes at all times. I played when I first moved to Bristol, my first roommate in Bristol, we ended up playing hours and hours of this, and we're like proper competitive about like, I'm killing more people. Who got the most points? Who's getting that free upgrade, motherfucker? While still obviously like getting each other's back and stuff because we want to progress through the level. And we
Yeah.
had multiple different um so we played it multiple times. We played I can't remember, like it's like lost a save file, started again, who cares kind of thing. And it was great. This even replaying it was great because it's like, oh, I might get the edge on you on this level. Pound. So and it was just so a lot of that is like nostalgia based on like
Sure,
good times, but it was also it's just such a really well designed game, and it feels very Marvel. So like one of the things like we sort of alluded to on these earlier games is that they're just sort of I'm playing as Spider-Man, but I'm really just doing standard projectile, standard punch.
Yeah, yeah.
There's so much variety of characters, and they all had like powers, and some of them can fly, and some of them can double jump, and some of them can't. And so, like Spider-Man could swing, but not on all the levels, and it just felt like movement was really restricted to your power set. So like in like a base where there's a broken bridge, like the flyer could just go over here and go fight people, and maybe hit the button. And if there wasn't a flyer, you'd have to figure another way out. And it felt every character felt really unique and grounded in a way that I have recognized from the comics.
Nice, nice. I think that kind of, I mean, it's why I liked what I played of like Marvel Heroes, the MMO. That each of the characters did feel unique to their kind of their skill set and what they were good at, and it kind of I didn't play a huge amount with people really, or team up with people and stuff, and I don't know how kind of everyone linked together or whether anything was complementary to other heroes and stuff like this, but I only played a little bit of it really when it was free. But the characters that I did play felt like the characters. It wasn't just that, oh, this character's just been put onto doing this, like that the Incredible Hulk game that I spoke about. That could have been any of the characters really. Run around, hit, jump, punch someone else. So yeah, they've definitely worked out how to differentiate between these characters and give them their own skill sets, give them their personalities within the kind of like the video game space. And I mean, there's a lot of games in between, but it does lead into the newest sort of Spider-Man game feeling like a Spider-Man game
After a long time, like so
completely.
Like the only Spider-Man game I enjoyed between really since Spider-Man 2 was Shattered Dimensions.
Yeah.
And that wasn't because it was so like tied up in actual Spider-Man comics and different dimensions, like different way interpretations that I had read about. But I think if I hadn't had a comic backstory, it would have probably been muddled and confused, and the gameplay wasn't that great. It was just really neat to see, like, what if we did this? Now we're having an upcoming movie talking about what if these dimensions collided? But the only reason, so I ended up buying like the next game in that, like, from Activision in that series, and I was super disappointed because it turns out I just cared about the narrative elements.
Was that Edge of Time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think X-Men Origins Wolverine is worth a shout out.
Okay, on Lucy's list as well.
Yeah, I think it mostly because it's just a really tight game, and it's a tight game that like inhabits Wolverine. Like if you've never played it, I think there was a PC version. Obviously, you could find emulated versions anyway. But it's like a God of War / Devil May Cry, a combo buster type game. It has a rage meter, and it's just really tightly done, and you feel like you're being Wolverine. And that's what makes that game great. It's just
nice. I think it's you got to feel sort of similar to kind of like the Deadpool game as well.
Yeah, I mean that was the next one I wanted to highlight as well.
Was super good, and is that the Nolan North voiced Deadpool?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I could be wrong, but
obviously very kind of fourth wall breaking, self-referential. Again, not a fantastic game in terms of kind of like the action and what you're doing. Pretty standard, but I think kind of like the writing of that, at least, and the humor kind of elevated that.
I think the gameplay was tight enough, but why it was fun, like, was because it was like, again, it's like taking the character and being like, well, the character in the comics, and like, what makes this appealable? Oh, he's tongue-in-cheek, he's a nonsense person, and he breaks the fourth wall. Like, we need to make sure that happens. And it was really weird when the license expired and they're like, nope, you can't buy this anymore. And then luckily the Deadpool movie was really successful, so people were like, I will pay money. Like, yeah, pay for the like, cool. We'll make a lot of money.
Yep.
'Cause there was, I remember a time where it's like, oh, I really want to like, I'd like to play that game, and I borrowed it. I don't remember. Like, I had a temporary copy, and so it's like, oh, cool, I'll just buy it. Like, I now have an Xbox 360. Cool. No, can't get it. Like, just hope you find it in the used market. And then like, I got a copy, and then like a year and a half later, it's like, this is now cheap.
I don't think we'll talk much about Spider-Man. I think it probably. I think the 2018 one.
Yeah, I think we've had episodes about that. It's clearly. I mean, yeah, it clearly is doing what we wanted about Spider-Man games, etc. I will say the Lego superheroes game, fantastic.
Yeah.
Also, a moment in the Lego games which made it a less like, there was a bit of an open world element. There was a bit of like free roam, in a way that the other ones were super linear. And it just like, because it was a bigger roster, you ended up being able, maybe it's free roam's the wrong word, but like there was more options.
Okay.
Well, like in the Batman games, for example, it's like you can play as Batman, or you can switch to Robin. It was like, I actually can kind of pick the characters I want to start with, because the roster, like, maybe it's just the sense of the Avengers, but like, it just seemed more open as a game. Also, it was the first one that had all that much more voice acting and stuff in it.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. So I've revealed that my top Marvel games are the Ultimate Alliance ones, which luckily have been both re-released on Xbox and PlayStation stores, but also came out on PC only like a couple years ago.
I think for me, it's very kind of difficult to move between. I played a lot of Marvel versus Capcom. Marvel vs.
Yeah,
Capcom,
I thought you might have said more about that. I was surprised you didn't. But
I mean, they're fun fighting games. They're super fun fighting games. It's one of the reasons why I've really enjoyed, and I've kind of stuck a little bit more with like Street Fighter maybe than kind of like other fighting games. So I've dabbled in Tekken, Tekken Tag Tournament, Tekken 3. Never really gone much further with Tekken than that, and kind of stuck a little bit more with like Marvel vs. Capcom and Street Fighter games instead as my fighting games, and I really enjoy them. I like that crossover. I like the way that they play. They're very arcadey, which is brilliant. I like the tagging in and out kind of option, having a little team to kind of be able to play as well.
Am I wrong to think that was unique to that crossover in the beginning? I don't think Street Fighter did that.
No, I don't think Street Fighter's ever done that. It's only been in the Marvel vs. Capcom games, at least for Street Fighter. I know there was a Tekken crossover with Street Fighter, and I don't know whether that was a team-based one because I didn't play it. But Tekken's done it as well. They had Tekken Tag Tournament.
Yeah.
So it was quite unique for Marvel vs. Capcom to have that element to it. And I'm kind of in a bit of a toss-up between like Marvel vs. Capcom as a franchise and then the 2018 Spider-Man game being my favorite Marvel game. So I think I'm going to go with both because they're very different games and they kind of embody very different things.
Yeah, I'm gonna call a little bullshit because I just said a franchise and a game are my top game. Not even like Marvel vs. Capcom 2, and you're like, no, this whole franchise, but that's fine.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Huh?
You recording?
Yeah.
Ready?
Yes.
Hey. Hi, you can't hear me.
Yeah. So we'll wrap up there with my kind of faux favorite games.
Yeah, I'm disappointed in you.
Well, we'll see at the end of the year whether
I said that. I literally said my favorite games are one and the thing. So call me out on that.
Let's go with the beers. Out of the two beers that I had, I think it's quite easy for me this week that actually the first beer, Freak Scene, the New England IPA with yuzu, picks it. It was a little bit bigger of a beer and the flavour was doing a little bit more than the Lervig, which was nice. It was very easy to drink beer, but it's just pleasant. It's just a nice beer. The Freak Scene had like a little bit more kind of flavour, a little bit more complexity to it. So it's quite easy for me this week. And that's from Beer52, their table project.
Awesome.
Aadil, the two you had, both from the same brewer.
Yeah, so on my manual update, I really enjoyed the salt strawberry. My favorite hero. That was what it was called. I thought it would be too out of the way, but it wasn't. It's enough beery taste while doing other things that's super interesting. And there was sort of the level of flavor was quite high. Like, sorry, my flatmate just coming home. If anything, I think the DIPA, even though it's 8.5%, they've like done such a good job of blending the flavors that it kind of feels subdued.
Okay.
And so I actually saved the last sip of the My Favorite Hero for this moment, just so I could remember it. And maybe it's just because one's strong and the other's weak, like intensiveness of flavor. But I think I might go for the My Favorite Hero. I think it's unique. Okay. I was expecting like a fruit bomb and like salt. What the fuck? And it's not. It's a well-balanced beer. It tastes like a beer. It obviously tastes like a sour, but like not. The fruit isn't doing too much. And the Tickets Please is a really solid DIPA. Don't get me wrong, but like there's just a little less going on. So I'm picking the My Favorite Hero because I don't think I can pick another. I couldn't like say, oh, just try that beer instead. And the Tickets Please is doing a lot of the things you could find with a well-balanced DIPA.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, but obviously I'm picking Manual for the week. I mean, but also
of course
would pick both these beers easily. Like it's just they're great.
Nice. So that's it for this week. If you want to talk to us about your favorite Marvel games, about tasting Manual beers, knowing who they are,
tasting beers.
Yeah, you can get us at tankedup_cast, tank.cast@gmail.com. You can also go to outoflives.net and look at articles, listen to other podcasts, do some stuff over there. Look at
Ben's lovely graphic design of the logos.
Yes, you can see that as well. Aadil, if people want to talk to you, how do they do so?
You can get me at the Omniarch on Twitter, Instagram, Steam, PSN, etc.
You've got to remember the things. You don't have all the things now.
I mean, I know. So the thing I sold was the Xbox, but it still has, because of Xbox Play Anywhere, I still have an Xbox account.
Yeah, that's fair.
I'm not going to invite people to add me to that because it seems like, well... Oh, also, switch code SW...
Nice. If you want to talk to me, I'm at Nova_47 almost everywhere. And that's it. A little Marvel hit for you this week. But for another week, we've been tanked up. I haven't actually been that tanked up. These are super light beers.
No, I will say one thing.
Yes.
Excelsior.
Bye.
Bye.